Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Hi, good evening. My name again is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. I am excited to have in the studio this evening Mr. Josh Richard coming in from somewhere in the Americas. Welcome to the show, Josh. We have,
Thanks, Jay.
we have Evis Love Heath, the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. Welcome to the show, Evis Love. And of course, we have coming in from Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. Jeff Fasano. Welcome to the show, guys. Another week has passed, and it's good to see you guys. I want to take a moment here to invite our viewers as they join us this evening. If you have any questions or comments for us, please drop them into the comment section. And if you hear something that you like or even love, with love, tap your love button on your monitor and light us up, because when you light us up, who knows where it will take us. And you are on this trip with us tonight. So when you light us up, come for the ride. But in any event, welcome to the show, guys. Tonight's topic is all about, is it time to uncover, to discover the real you? Is it time to uncover, to discover the real you? And so actually, before we jump in, I just want to acknowledge, for those that think I may have some lipsticks showing my feminine side of myself, being at peace with it. It is not by choice. It is one of COVID's tricks up its sleeve. How it's come after my body is through my lips. And so my lips, these are not my natural lips. They are my COVID lips this evening. But today, 2 weeks that I'm in the COVID and I'm on a healing end of it. Thankfully, I am well today. I'm just dealing with some side effects that are going to take some time to dissolve in my body, but I'm doing all that I can do to help that process along. And so I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be alive, and I'm grateful to be home, and I'm grateful to be on Real Men, Real Talk Live. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
We're so grateful you're here, too.
Knowing exactly where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you got it. So in any event, Carrie says COVID makes you look beautiful. She's so nice. Your lips are sexy. LOL. Yeah, I know, right? But they hurt. They hurt so. There's a lot of pain in them. But it's just a reminder for me. No matter where my pain shows up in my life, whether it be a physical pain or an emotional pain, it's just there to show me something. It's there to teach me something. And so even in this moment, as painful as it may be, I'm in acceptance of it. I'm grateful that if this is the worst that I'm dealing with, then all things considered, I'm doing well. And so with that, I want to turn the show over to Evis to open us up tonight on Uncover, to discover the real you. What does that mean, and what is this about?
Family, friends, and all my brothers and sisters on the other side of the pond. Thanks for having me, as always, from the bottom of my heart. And here in the land down under, you're checking in. We're just coming on to our lunchtime here. So thanks for joining in, guys. And uncovering, to discover that real, true, authentic you. Have you started the journey so far? Did you do your reflection? I've been dropping a couple of videos to invite my brothers and sisters just on that invitation into the new way of life, into the new here, into 2021, to really embody that highest possible version of yourself. And even just in this past week alone, I've seen some beautiful brothers and sisters' journeys really start to unfold and blossom into the embodiment of their highest self. Now, for me personally, and it's funny, I'm reflecting quite a bit over the last month, and we're in Capricorn season, so it's time to really get things moving. We had our shake-ups in 2020. We got things moving. All the planetary bodies, all the heavenly bodies, they shook shit up for us, man. And I think we're all still starting to see just the residue of all of that. If you feel like things are going to stop, my brothers and sisters, be ready. Shit ain't going to stop. It's going to keep shaking up until we start realizing that we are co-creating this reality that we're living in. Now, if we haven't been able to uncover some of those fragmented, some of those broken pieces of our very self up until this point, 2021, when I keep asking you if you're the one, then my brothers and sisters, we're going to continue to be the product of the external environment and all the craziness that's going on around outside us in the world. So when I talk about uncovering to discover that real, authentic, true self of yours, we're going to have to walk into the shadow. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to walk into the darkness. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to confront our fears. We're going to even have to take off the mask. Mm-hmm. You know, where did that mask come from? Mm-hmm. Did we put it up as an early age to protect ourselves in this dark, dark world? Was it layers to keep us safe, to keep us feeling secure in a dark, chaotic world? Well, all those things probably above, my brothers and sisters, but we do now have that beautiful light to be able to walk in this darkness and really peel back, shed back, and shred back the layers that may not have been ours. So I know we're going to be diving in deep tonight, my brothers and sisters, and I'm looking forward to uncover and recover the true authentic self as we dive in deep at Real Men Real Talk Live.
Whew. Yeah, you know what? We had about 5 shows in what
right.
Oh man, it was dropping, Jeff. I was getting ready for the number 6 show and it was better to pull back, man.
Oh yeah. Save some for the rest of the year. No, that was beautiful, Ev. That was a beautiful opener.
What do you feel, Josh? What do you feel, brother?
Yeah.
What came up in me when you were talking about the mask was that you know, a lot of times the mask isn't even our own. You know, it's what we adopted from our parents and which came from their grandparents. And, you know, we never stopped to question it or say, is this even mine? Like what? And I've done that with a couple of things recently and it's been beautiful. I mean, you know, my father, when I was starting these travels and this journey, was expressing a lot of fear, and he shows his love through fear. And and I realized it wasn't even him; it was my grandfather talking to me in that moment. Wow. And I was like, and I wear those same fears, and I've battled with a lot of those in my life, and I've worked really hard to dislodge those and not carry those anymore. That was my mask, and I realized that it. You know, when I met my father with compassion in that moment, as he was showering his fears all over me, I was like, wow, these aren't even his, they're grandpa's. But yeah, we don't have to carry this stuff.
Josh, I want to take a moment here just to acknowledge you for really just sharing something that's really powerful that you uncovered and discovered very recently, as you have made some decisions in your life that weren't necessarily your dad was comfortable with, right? But here's the question that I have: when we in that moment have the awareness that a loved one, especially a mom or dad, could be a sibling, could be a friend, doesn't have to be a relative by blood, but when they are sharing their fears, which aren't even their fears, but your grandfather's fears, and it may even go back generations before him. How are you able to receive that without you taking it on, without you now living in his fears and playing small, meaning making other choices that may not be what's best for you? Because although your dad loves you to death, he's not you. He's not in your shoes. And so how do we find the balance between respecting and honoring and loving a friend or a relative like a dad, but at the same time, when can we say it's not good for me? Thank you for sharing. Like, are you able to, not say cut them off, but are you able to set a loving boundary in that moment and, stop them before you end up with their train wreck?
It was, and it was hard. It was over 3 phone calls, and his fear didn't change. He basically straight up said, I hope they shut down airline travel and you can't go. So that was hard to hear. I wanted to hear something totally different from my friends and family. And, of course, we want to be cheered on and supported. And this is something new that I'm going through and discovering and uncovering my true self are these travels and the project that I'm working on and all of that. And so, it felt, it was tough not to be supported, and it hurt the first time. The second call, I realized where it was coming from, that awareness, that clarity. And like Ev said, you got to go through it to get over it. And when we're aware of something and we can move through it with awareness one last time, then it's like going through the darkness one more time, but with open eyes and seeing it for all that it is. And then we get to the other side and we can heal. But we keep, in the past, we keep getting to that darkness, to that moment, and backing down and backing away. And so it was time for me to pass through it with awareness, with new eyes, see that it was my grandfather, see that it was my father sharing his love in the way that he shares his love, and thanking him for that. I even acknowledged, I said, I appreciate that you're loving me right now and you're worried about me, but I'm going to do this anyway. And this is really important for me. And staying true to ourselves and setting those boundaries. So it's all the stuff we've covered.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful what you just shared, Josh. Jeff, I'm going to ask you to jump in, but before you jump into the hot waters here, I want to just acknowledge our viewers and guests coming in from the United States. Let us know what state you are coming in from. I know we've got viewers coming in joining us this evening from Scotland, the Netherlands, Australia, I believe maybe even the UK. If I missed your home, perhaps Canada, let us know where you're coming in from. We love to acknowledge those of you that are joining us, especially from overseas. Sano, what are you making of all this talk that's going on right here, right now?
Josh just said something about his father, and what popped into my head is when I, 20 some odd years ago, and I quit my job to do photography and go out on my own. I just remember I got a call from my mother one night, and she asked me, "How are you sleeping at night?" And I said, "Great." And she said, "Are you frightened?" And I said, "No, this is what I'm doing." And I wasn't too far into it. And she said, "Your father's not sleeping at night." And I said, "Really? Why?" He said, "He's worried about you. He's thinking he's frightened, and all of these fears are coming up inside of him." And I said, and I just smiled and I went, "Wow, I've unlearned that on some level." But he was more frightened about what could happen, what might happen, because I left, quote unquote, safety and security, the way he looked at it, in a job, 9 to 5, pension, salary, benefits, and all that good stuff. And I put that behind me to create my own life. And my father didn't know that. It was always about that safety and security. And it was something inside of me that just never even thought about safety and security and all of that stuff, because when we really tap into our soul's plan, what we're really here to do inside of us, and break that chain, and we tap into what we're really here to do in that moment, and we're tapping into that, our soul's plan inside of us, there is no fear, because you know that this is the path that you should be on, and that's what happened for me in those moments. I never had any fear, because I knew that this was part of my plan, my soul's destiny, my soul purpose was to move on this path and then stay on that path, and whatever transpired on that path, look at it all as an opportunity.
Beautiful.
But that's not exactly, I was thinking about what Ev was saying before about the shadow that we've all been going through, and how if we look in the macrocosm outside of ourselves and see that shadow, and that shadow is being illuminated for us in the world right now. I mean, so in the shadow there's light, but the shadow and what's in the shadow and beneath the shadow needs to be illuminated so we can see it and we can engage it and then see what we need to shift and change. And we can really see that in the world outside of ourselves right now. And my question to everybody is, if that's happening in the world outside of ourselves, because when we go into the shadow, and in the shadow we start to illuminate, what comes up is all what we need to have surface so we can deal with it. And it's stuff that we're not going to like to see. It's feelings we're not going to want to feel. It's memories that we're not going to want to deal with. But that's what happens in the shadow. And that needs to be illuminated. So if you're looking in the world outside of it and seeing that, my question to everybody is in 2020, what has been illuminated inside of you that's come up that you can now look at, process, release, and then move into a more authentic self?
Boom.
Where is your discomfort, and why?
Yeah. And they're really the little gold nuggets, aren't they? They're really the gold nuggets. You know, Jeff, you hit it on the head, man. Like when you're coming from that soul space and you're talking about that shadow, you got to think about yourself too, brothers and sisters. What Jeff's talking about, that illumination of the shadow, that shadow, you know, when we think about that shadow, is it the true self of each and all of us?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is the mirror that we look at, the reflection of ourself, actually that false identity that we've been carrying around most of our lives? So when we talk about shadow, for maybe some of our viewers that may not connect with some of these words, you know, I see also shadow deep within the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And as we say, so much of these inadequacies, they come and stem from our childhood. If we have not pulled that root, then we go on living unconsciously, and we may not even see some of these things that are within that shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we may not see them, Evis, but I could tell you we feel them.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going with that statement is how many of us have been or in a relationship where we find out because our partner finally has the courage to say how unhappy they are. And whether they're expressing it as they're unhappy with the relationship or they're unhappy with themselves, you hear couples so often, one of the partners say, I had no idea. I didn't see it coming. As a partnership, your ship was dark. Your ship had no light on. Your partnership between you and your partner had been in darkness for a long time. And you didn't see it coming because the light wasn't bright enough to see it coming. You weren't paying attention. I was listening. I caught a piece of the Jada Smith from Red Table Talk. And she said that, now I'm paraphrasing her. I just heard it, I think, early this morning. She said that Will Smith and her are married. They were together for over 20 years. And they have both acknowledged that they didn't know each other.
Oh.
And, you know, the sad thing is that it's not just them. I mean, I was in a 30-year marriage, and I didn't know until I woke up, but I already had stepped out of that relationship. to be able to acknowledge today and say, you know, I had the same virus. I had no idea who I was. And I really didn't know my wife. And when I say I didn't know her, is I really didn't understand how the two of us brought our younger year shadows into our adult relationship in our mid-20s, unknowingly. And we were just playing house for years. I mean, we when I say that, I mean like we weren't being real, because if we were, we would have faced our own inner dark shadows so that we could have healed the relationship. But that's not uncommon. So if we want to fix relationships, where does it begin, guys?
With yourself.
There you go.
Tell Jada to join in with us here. And we help her to look at herself and then realize why for 20 years they didn't know each other, because they probably really didn't know deep down in their soul space who they are. Mm. So they were looking. So usually when that happens is you're living your relationship through the old conditioning, the old wounding. You're going to complete me. I'm looking at dad. I'm looking at mom. And that's what we're looking at in some way. And then all of a sudden what pops up is you have all of this confusion and conflict and convoluted stuff going on. And you're wondering why it's going on. And the question is, well, here's the mirror. Mm. Can you look at yourself? And get to know yourself, and then maybe realize, oh, wow, I'm looking at this person. I'm now engaging in a deep introspective personal process within me to reveal the relationship I'm having with myself.
Yeah,
once you start to do that in a relationship, and you awaken and go, I don't even know you. And the reason why I don't know you now is because I didn't know who I am right now. And now that I know that, why the heck am I in this relationship?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of it? Ab, go ahead.
Yeah, look, we're diving back into the relationships, and we've talked about it on many, many shows of this mirror consciousness that we've been living in. And I think that's been the real gem for 2020 for most of us. If we would stop and just be still, like we talk about, then, you know, we look at our surroundings and the real or the reality that we've been living in. If something doesn't feel right, don't you think that's just a little reflection of something that's not connected with inside of your body, with inside of your life? You know, we've been so fortunate through 2020 to have that time. So one thing for me is that, you know, were you making that a priority within your life to uncover some of this shadow work? We had the time to pause to really take, you know, the inventory of what it is we've been, you know, really making within our lives up until this point. And when we actually go back from within and we start to see those mirror effects for those people, places, and things outside of us that don't align to our true, authentic self, then it's simply a choice. And if there's one thing that we do have left on this planet right now, it is a choice, my brothers and sisters. So yeah, man, 100% there, Jeff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say that the challenge is, because I know we've all been through that moment of having to face those things in the mirror that we don't like, and having to acknowledge those and take ownership of that and take ownership of our ability to change it. I think what's tough, or what at least I did, was I was tempted to jump to judgment at first and label or call things bad, or wonder where they came from, or, you know, were those mine, and how did I end up this way? You know, all of those type questions. And I think it's important to with this work, as we uncover things that we're uncomfortable with, that don't support our highest good, and as we learn more about what it is that we do want in our lives and push out the stuff that we don't want, is to do all of this work without judgment, without labeling old things as bad, or labeling it as negative. It's, we all in the show use really specific words for a reason, and we say that things don't support our highest good and all of that. And I know a ton of you out there who do this work understand that. But the words and the way that we treat all of this stuff as we dig it up is really important as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we got to move through this work in a loving, compassionate way towards ourselves. I mean, they're all just lessons. They're things that we can learn from, and beautiful golden nuggets that we can take with us and move on and elevate ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Josh. I want to acknowledge two of our viewers. One comment that Katrina May, coming in from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. She talked about, I posted a few minutes ago, it's not about, we have this belief system that it's a 50-50 partnership. It's 50-50, right? And she said something that just lit me up, because I didn't understand this until a few years back. She says a relationship is not 50-50. It has to be 100%, 100%. Otherwise, you are dealing with two incomplete people. And my interpretation of that, I absolutely love that, Katrina, because what I had to be willing to do is, when I looked at the wreckage of a 30-year marriage, that when I say wreckage, it wasn't all bad, but the wreckage of the choices that I made that impacted my relationship, not only with my partner, my wife, my ex, but my children, was I had to be willing to hold myself 100% accountable for my part. Now, my mom, who I love to death, she had a hard time wrapping her head around that, because she felt like, well, wait a minute, what about her? Is she holding herself accountable? And my answer was, and still is, I don't know. And I don't need to know. But what I do need to know is that in order for me to become the best version of who I am, my true authentic self, I needed to show up. I needed to grow up. And I needed to say, you know what? I am 100% accountable for my part in what worked and what didn't work. It wasn't all bad. There was some beautiful things that came out of being in that relationship for all those years. I also want to acknowledge something that here we were, I think it was Jillian said, Abigail said, leave blame at the door, just see the things that happened. So now what? And that's about a lot of that is about dropping the judgment. And when you drop the blame and you start holding yourself accountable for your part in it, and it also acceptance that things played out the way they had to play out, there's where we can start to shift. There's where we can start to let go of the heavy weight and begin to focus on the healing and uncovering truly who you are and being able to honor that person within you. Honor, respect, and love, and forgive. What do you think of that, Jeff?
I think the big question in all of that is two questions. If we're adults, can we take responsibility for who we are? And before that, even ask the question, who am I? Who am I right now? Who do I know myself to be? Can you answer that question without needing to look outside of yourself for somebody to tell you that? Really just honor and value ourselves for that. So how far have you come in honoring, valuing, and loving yourself? So you can accept all of you. And even when the judgment comes up, says, be aware and conscious, I'm judging myself right now. Differentiate between the wounds of the child and the adult. And stay in the present moment of now, as this is where I'm at, this is what's coming up, this is what I am uncovering. And as I uncover it, what am I discovering about me, my past, my old behaviors, and where am I right now? And what do I need to change and shift within me so I can shift and change that relationship with myself to a more loving, honest, authentic, transparent relationship so I can be me. So I can be me. My question to everyone is, who are you being right now? Are you fully being you? I ask myself that question every day. Am I being me? Or am I trying to prove to somebody that I'm worthwhile? Am I being me, or am I trying to do something that might negate my needs so I satisfy your needs, and then I love you, then you love me? And it's a constant thing to see if I'm really being authentic with honoring and valuing me, my needs, my boundaries, what is important to me, or am I still going outside of myself, looking for it, looking to mom, looking to dad, and asking them, Mom and Dad, if I take care of your needs, if I be who you want me to be, will you still love me?
And how did you answer that? And the last time you asked yourself that question, Jeff Fasano?
I'm doing the best I can to be who I am. I am in a place now after all of what we've asked everybody to do in 2020 is to really look at ourselves. I've taken a long look during that pause at myself. And it's through the shadow that I have gone through in 2020. And it has been pretty deep, that shadow. Things coming up that I really, really couldn't believe that was still inside of me. That I've come to a place where here I am. This is who I am. Is there judgment there? Yes. Is there shame there? Yes. But have I grown to an awareness and consciousness that comes up? That's what we're all asking everybody to do. It's not about fixing anything. We don't have to fix ourselves. There is absolutely nothing to fix. It is just about raising your awareness, raising your consciousness, about revealing and illuminating all of this old stuff inside of you, all of those old beliefs, all of that old conditioning, to simply raise your awareness and consciousness like, oh, wow. I've been doing that. I've been saying that. That's been my old behavior. Oh, wow. Has that served me? No, not really. Can I change it? Can I shift this? And then what do I need to do to shift this? And then it's about looking in the mirror and going into that wounded child and start doing that work through nurturing all of this about us. And then all we're doing is just raising our awareness and consciousness. And that's why it's called becoming conscious.
Love that. Jeff Fasano bringing it home one more time on Real Men, Real Talk Live. Jason Heath, another man of the land from down under. I suppose he may be, in fact, be a relative of yours.
100.
I see like a proud, maybe uncle or cousin look on your face.
Cousins.
What do you think about, Ev, why don't you read out loud what your cousin wrote here?
What's he said? So he's recently quit work for the 6 to 12 months to rediscover, to face these shadows that have been running for over 10 years. Oh, it's beautiful.
What do you make of that? What do you make of that, cuz?
Well, that's showing confidence, isn't it? We talked about this last week. It's showing a self-esteem. It's showing a belief within oneself to be able to finally cut that cord, to finally let go of that attachment. You know, it takes a lot of power for anyone to be able to do that. And, you know, I'm so proud of you, my brother. That's beautiful. So beautiful. To have that first, like Josh and Jeff were just saying, that self-awareness that, you know, if you're in a particular relationship, like we've just discussed, or it could look like a career, maybe if you're in a health predicament, you know, you have to really weigh up and say, is this my highest possible self? You know, we haven't really touched that when we are able to give ourselves a benchmark of what that highest possible version, that highest possible self may look like, then it may be just little things. It may have to start with habits. You know, am I friggin' doing mindless scrolling through social media? You know, do I have to stop eating some of my favorite ice creams or foods before a particular time of night? Do I have to stop smoking? What are these basic little habits that we can start building up this confidence, this self-esteem, to then start giving ourselves permission to let go of some of those things that weren't serving us?
Mm-hmm.
Then, to me, once you're starting to build up that little bit of empowerment within yourself with little small habits that make big changes, then my brothers and sisters, you can dive in deep to those feelings, those negative roots that may have been holding us back from really getting into our true potential from that childhood. And that's where we go deep within that shadow that we're talking about. So yeah, cuz that's beautiful news to hear, my man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that statement that he made, that's consciousness.
That's it, brother.
Yeah.
I also want to acknowledge Leonard Nelson. Welcome to the show, Leonard. I want to acknowledge you've said, I have done the same thing. Really gives you a chance to work on yourself without the distractions. Leonard, love to know what state or country you call home today. And thank you for joining us tonight on Real Men, Real Talk Live. Carrie Crary says, amen, Evis. Mary Kelly says, small changes, big priority.
100.
Mm-hmm.
Jillian Bowie coming in from Scotland says, I am constantly being made aware of the shadow. I pause, go deeper, back home to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That is, wow, what do you make of that, Josh, right there? That powerful statement. I pause and go deeper, back home to myself.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And you know, some of our viewers may not know what that home is, what that sense of self is. I know when I was going through it and I was forced to pause and reflect, I didn't know where I'd end up and where I'd be. And that was scary at first. And that was terrifying. And it's okay to not know also. You know, Jillian's beautiful and she knows her way home. And it's okay to not know your way home when you are going through this journey as well. And to say, I don't know where this is going to end up, but I'm just going to keep moving forward because it feels good. And I'm raising my energy and I feel good about myself. And that's all that counts. Seriously, if you just focus on feeling good and eliminating the things in your life that don't feel good, trying on new things, wearing, you know, it's like clothing. You can try on experiences like a jacket and say, you know what, this doesn't fit, and put it aside. And if you simply just use your happiness as a barometer to what direction to keep going forward in, with this awareness as you're moving through darkness or unearthing things that come up along the way and examining them and then putting them aside as well. But if you keep using happiness as your barometer, you're going to find yourself and your purpose and what you are truly put here to be and do, and what makes you happiest and keeps you grounded, and where your power is, your confidence is. All of that is at the end of that happiness road. I was thinking like the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
In my mind is what I was thinking.
I want to just take a moment here to share with you guys. I just had a flashback, and it's appropriate to share. Remember when you were kids, and maybe you were in your dad or mom was driving. This is before obviously smartphones. If we had a GPS system, it was a map. But at some point, your mom or dad acknowledged out loud that they think they're lost. Now, as a young kid, do any of you have a memory of hearing that, receiving that, and going unknowingly to fear of, oh my God, we're lost. Like we may not find our way home tonight. And of course, the sun set, it's dark out now. And that's the time when mom or dad says, I think I made a wrong turn. We're lost. And I had that flashback because I remember a few of those moments where, as that young kid, I didn't express how I was feeling, but I held it in. But I had the awareness that I was scared. Like, what if we don't find our way home?
Mm.
I share this flashback that it just happened for me because we grow up. We've all grown up. Chronologically, I should preference that. And we spend all these years as adults trying to find our way back home. Many of us unknowingly, we're not aware that we're even trying to get there, but we're all chasing it. We're all seeking it in all the wrong places for the most part.
Mhm.
But I find it ironic that here we are understanding the powerful statement that Abigail shared, that Jillian shared about having the fear of facing a shadow, but knowing that each time she faces it, it brings her home, brings her one step closer. And that is such a powerful experience if you have had those breakthrough moments when you were willing to face the darkness, the shadow of not knowing. Will it bring you home? But being willing to step into the unknown so that you can come home.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or you're 55 years old. It felt good when we pulled into that driveway. And it's that same kind of, I think, internal emotion and feeling that I get to experience each time I'm willing to face a new shadow that pops up, honor it, respect it, and protect my younger child within, hold his hand, and let him know together we can come home together. And it's just a beautiful way to have that experience. Ev, I don't know if what it's been like for you, my friend, but I invite you to share what does coming home mean
Mm.
from your own personal journey.
I love that analogy, brother. What you've just used there, and we've talked about it in previous shows. You know, like the car, the body being the vehicle, and really starting to witness. Like our sister out there, that beautiful journey back home, and we think about that inner child that we keep talking about at Real Men Will Talk Live, and if mum or dad were sitting in the front seat and they were driving, in that dark time. And all we did was have the map. For me, over the years, what I've found is that I am the map. I am the GPS system because I started coming from a place of the heart. For me, on my journey back home, it's really coming from a different place. It's coming from a place of knowing, even in the unknown. It may be a dark space within your life. It may be dark times, whatever it may be going through. But when we start to use some of these words like we're starting to really embrace more, we can start facing some more of this darkness and this shadow, like intuition, like instinct, like going within. So for me, on my journey back home, it was really a journey coming back home to that soul space, to that very heart space. And now who you witness driving my vehicle around is my highest possible version. But that took a lot of work, a lot of inner deep work, like we talk about here on Real Men Will Talk. I had to drive in and out of those shadows. I had to drive in that dark time. And believe me, they still come around. But what you start to realize is that when your highest possible version, that most lit self is driving the vehicle now, and you give nothing but trust, love, and unconditional empowerment that that you are always going to be on the right path back home.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm going to invite all of us to take a nice deep breath in right here, right now. Nice pause. Yeah. Elizabeth says, home is where the heart is. For those that may not understand the language we're speaking tonight, home is where the heart is. And I think you got it. It's where you feel safe. Leonard said, he says, coming home to me means getting back to my safe place. How many of us as men and women lost our way home? Our lights burned out. Our bulbs burned out. And we didn't take the time to replace them. So we're running on one headlight. Sometimes we're running on none.
You know, Jay, you said something that just stuck with me. Are you willing to come home?
Wait, Jeff, we lost you. You're frozen.
Wait, breaking up a little bit, brother.
Yep. Drop him a note.
Wow.
Did you guys lose me?
Oh, man.
Yeah, we lost you.
Yeah, you're back, brother. You got the headlights on.
I think you made a wrong turn.
I stepped into the darkness for a second.
You did. You did. Touching the void.
What you said, Jay, was, are you willing to venture and step into the unknown to come home? And then Eva said that, and hopefully I got it right. Eva said, in the unknown, I am the known. It is me who I know in the unknown. And those are two very powerful statements, questions. Are we willing to venture into the unknown to come home? And then when we're in the unknown, because we're all, and I say we're all frightened in some way, shape, or form of the unknown. And it's how deeply we know who we are that gives us the strength, the courage, the confidence to step into the unknown. Because when we step into the unknown, the only known or safety that we have is us. So how well do I know myself? And then that doorway opens to the unknown and there's nothing on the other side of it. And we all want to seek out something or someone outside of ourselves to be safe and secure. I'm looking for that safety. The safety in the unknown in our wounding is I need to know what's in the unknown so I'm safe. So what is on that other side of the door? Well, if we're recreating a whole new life for ourselves, then we're doing it from an empty palette. So we have to venture into the unknown. And we're in that unknown, as Evis just said, it's us. Knowing who we are so we can open another doorway into the unknown, create more. Then the next doorway into the unknown. Life is a succession of doorways into the unknown.
Love that.
But how many of us want guarantees stepping in?
To grow up and know.
And that's the ego mind, isn't it, Joe?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas, like Jeff's saying, you know, that in that unknown, that dark space, that is full potential, infinite possibilities. That is where we're most powerful, my brothers and sisters. So we've got to embrace that we are the dark and we are the light.
Yep.
We are both.
Sean Cudahy says, the unknown is the only place where growth can happen. Sean, so good to see you coming in this evening from the East Coast of the United States. Elizabeth says, we are light. Robert Brooker, I wouldn't suggest this to anyone, but you know what? I'm going to acknowledge, thank you for joining us. Robert Brooker, good to see you tonight. He says there was a time before 20. I used to see how long I could drive for late at night with my eyes shut. 80 miles an hour. Right. So, I mean, so like, what do you make of that? Like, why? Here's my question. Why? Well, what were you flirting with?
Was there ice?
That's full of trouble.
Was there ice on the road too, Robert? Was there 8 feet of snow that you were driving through as well?
Well, Robert's still here, so it turned out okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I think here's the answer coming in from an angel called Mary Kelly. She says adrenaline junkie. Yeah. Well, I know that real well because I was once an adrenaline junkie. I didn't do anything as insane as that, Robert, but I did take many chances that could have hurt me or other people in my life. And it's not something I'm proud of today. I'm so grateful that I no longer live in the rush of adrenaline. And today I choose to live in the calm of serenity and peace, inner peace, because when we are able to experience inner peace with calm, that, my friends, is called freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And freedom is what life is about.
There you go.
Yep.
We think a lot of us, we go right to, well, that's what freedom of speech is about. I'm not going to freedom of speech. We are going way deeper than that.
Yeah,
This is way deeper than freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
This
when
is
you
freedom.
honor and value, when we honor and value, love ourselves, and move into a deeper sense of who we are and the truth of who we are, it's not about freedom of speech. It's simply expressing the depth of that, and like Eva says, from our heart space, and expressing it with love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, freedom of speech is something that is out there. We have freedom of speech. Well, if you're moving into your heart and knowing that you're looking to express that love and who you are, that's all it is. It's expression. And that expression comes from our heart space.
You too, brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you're not going to believe it. We are about 9 minutes, less than 9 minutes to the hour. Another show close to being on the backside. So what I'd like to do is invite each one of you to start the time of the show called Magical Chairs, so musical chairs as well. They are magical. You know, it's interesting. It seems like almost every week now, the way we're placed, we're all coming in the same way. So the way magical chairs and musical chairs works is you each will have 2 minutes minimum to put closing thoughts or words under the show from what you pulled out of our conversation this evening, and or if you want to share any tips, tricks, and tools for those that are ready to discover the real you. What could be some of the simple steps to start? And so with that, I have no idea. I have no recollection of who went first. But Josh, Rich, I'm going to invite you to go first since you're at the top of the hour there with me.
You're in the magical chair, Josh.
For some reason, I felt that coming today. And I guess a nugget, if you are out there and needed a little assistance uncovering, if you need a bigger shovel, we'll put it that way. If you need a bigger shovel to dig through your yard and find some of the old crap that's down there, so that you can get rid of it and get it out of your way, so you can plant this beautiful garden filled with all of the flowers that support you and smell amazing, and the food that you want to grow in that garden, and the seeds that are going to sprout and turn into big, strong, confident trees. That is you, that yard that is you. What we can do with a little shovel that I enjoyed in the past when I was in the midst of a big personal change was looking at everything that I thought or said out loud. And I would immediately ask myself after, when I was in an interaction with somebody, it's often an interaction with somebody, but I would ask myself right after I said something, what's my motivation? Why did I say that? Was I trying to get something from the other person, a response? Was that response coming from a need of mine, a lack, a hole? There's a whole lot of insights by asking the simple question, what's my motivation? And when I would even be thinking inside my own head and mapping out something I was going to do, I'm like, what's my motivation? What's the end game? What am I trying to get out of this? And is it from lack or is it towards joy? And we can really, really dig up some good juicy nuggets and examine some old crap that doesn't serve us anymore by asking that simple question, what's my motivation? So that's the shovel I am going to hand over to you guys this evening.
Love it, brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Jeff Fasano.
Didn't get to follow Evis tonight.
Yeah, yeah. We got to mix it up here. We got to keep everyone on their toes. We don't want you guys to get too much comfort.
Comfort is the enemy of change.
Exactly. You know, I love what Josh just said about what is my motivation, and he used the word joy, and that just really hit me, and it gave me a little flashback to my dad, watching my father, and like I never saw my father really joyful, and I know how that impacted me, and everything for him was always a chore or how I perceived it, and I never really saw the joy in his life. Again, how I perceived it as a child, and one of the things that I've been doing, especially during 2020, and moving in and within and looking at my life and seeing where that joy was, how I was creating that joy for myself, what brings me the greatest amount of joy. And I asked myself all of those questions. And Josh, that was great. Am I motivated by joy, or do I constantly look as the glass is half empty, or the glass is empty, or my life is empty? So I started just looking at joy, and started looking at joy and staying with joy. What's raising my resonance and vibration? What is raising my spirits? If I'm in that relationship, does it raise my resonance and vibration? Does it raise my spirits? Do I look forward to it? Am I on this pathway of raising my vibration or joy in life? And really taking a good long look at that, because many of us are addicted to drama. Many of us are addicted to stuff that keeps us in this joylessness of life, because that is what we were modeled. So what we can really begin to look at, and I'm glad you opened that door, Josh, and you always do, is look at, I'm just going to dovetail on what Josh just said, and take that shovel and just maybe dig it a little deeper and really ask you to look at, where is the joy in your life, and begin to look at that. And if that's not there, find the relationships that raise your resonance and vibration, and that champion, like we've been talking tonight, your highest good, that keeps that resonance and vibration up. We're going to go through ebbs and flows in our life. You know, our resonance and vibration is not always going to be joyous and, you know, be there. But in the greater scheme of things, it is all about, how do I feel? And do I constantly stay in behaviors that's joyless?
Love it.
Beautiful, brother. Hearing that, Jeff. Hearing that, my man.
I love that. It's like letting joy be your guide.
Yeah. Letting higher vibration. You know, it's resonance. It's resonance. You know, are we addicted to that, to the muck and mire? When we look outside of ourselves, do we stay with it, that fuels this oldness? And maybe we've got to stay with that and move into that shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is this relationship bringing me joy? Is this relationship uplifting? You know, I'm using other words, and if I'm and I'm not talking about a love relationship with a significant other. It just could be because we have a relationship to everything and every. God, every time I'm with that person, it's just this one thing after another, and then ask yourself, well, why am I staying with that?
Mm-hmm. 100%, brother.
Evis, Love, Heath. You're up.
No, thanks for that, Jeff, man. 100%, brother. And my question is to my brothers and sisters, do you know what joy is? You know, what is your definition of that word? What is your definition of happiness? You know, 2020, I think we've started to see, my brothers and sisters, it was truly a year to be able to have that vision and clarity of what some of these beautiful words like Jeff, Josh, my brother Jay have just talked about tonight is all about. You know, I really feel after uncovering so much stuff through 2020, we've been able to discover some of those fragmented pieces that we've always talked about. And many of us may be still in a recovery time. We look at that word cover. Deep etymology of that word means covert, means to unacknowledge, to close off. Like, what have we not unacknowledged to the world? What have we not opened ourselves to the world with? You know, this path of self-discovery, it must be learned and only taught by you. It can only be mastered by you. But you have to have a stepping stone or a benchmark to know what your true values and beliefs are. Otherwise, like we've talked about on the show all night, you follow old belief systems, old programming, old patterns that don't even belong to you. And that's okay. That is okay, brothers and sisters. But kindly, with respect and honor, hand these back. It may be a ritual that you may have to do with your parents. You don't have to do that physically. You may write a nice note. Respectfully, hand that back to them. It may be in your meditation. It may be in a message in a bottle. Who knows what it may be? But at the end of the day, it's time to let go. Let go to grow. Embrace and face up to some of the stuff that we've held unconsciously for so long. Start implementing some of these tools that we talk about. Do you meditate? Do you sit with yourself? Do you pray? Whatever that may look like in that term. Do you feel your current actions, your decisions, your behavior, like I said, align with your core value? Because if they don't, then you really do have to start taking stock or inventory of your current life. Are you accepting to other people's views, other people's perspectives? Let go of judgment. Accept. And do you regularly consider your place in this world? Ask yourself, and I've said this on a previous show, those 3 questions. Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? And who do I want to become? Because that, my brothers and sisters, is the path onto that self-discovery. And when we can let go and depart some of those relationships that we talk about that may not have served us to this point, then, my brothers and sisters, we can get to that destination we call self-love. All right, then, my brothers and sisters, peace.
Jay loved it so much, he's muted himself.
Takes a lot to keep
Wow.
me down, brothers. But wow, that's just absolutely beautiful. Let it go to grow. Another new line coming out of Real Men Real Talk Live this evening. I want to welcome so many of our new viewers that joined us this evening, some new names that joined us in the comments. Please consider coming back next week for a new episode. I do want to share that on the 22nd, not next week, but the week after. I believe it's in 2 Fridays from tonight. We have a special guest joining us for our once a month. We invite someone from the opposite side of the spectrum, a woman, female, to come in. Last month, we had Ozzy Osbourne joining us. This month coming up, we have Rosie Mercado. She's going to be joining us. If some of you may know the name, she is an American plus-size model, celebrity makeup artist, fashion designer, and television personality of Mexican descent. She is best known for starring in reality television show Curvy Girls on Nuvo TV and featuring on National Geographic Channel's Taboo. Rosie Mercado is going to be joining us in a couple of weeks for a special episode. We will not disclose in this moment what our episode is going to be about, but she does have a relatively new book out right now. If you check it out, I think it's The Girl with Low Self-Esteem. I think that's the name of the book. Jeff, do you recall?
I think you're on it, Joe. I think you're on it, man.
Yeah. Okay.
And tell you what, I'll put it on our website under the show links. I'll put a link to Rosie's page so you can check it out and check out her book. But yeah, we're really excited to have Rosie come on.
Beautiful. And then we also wanted to just acknowledge that Real Men Real Talk Live podcast is now available on Spotify, Google Plus, and all of the other popular podcast apps that are available online. So Real Men Real Talk Live, we don't have all of our prior episodes, but we're building them up from past episodes. And so they're there if you want them. You could also find us on our YouTube channel. All of our prior episodes from the first one back in 2020 is archived in the playlist on Real Men Real Talk Live on YouTube. And so with that, my closing thoughts, first and foremost, for those of you that joined us a little late, I do not wear lipstick. I saw that come through one more time. This is what happens when COVID decides to do its part to enter into my body and system. It's done some havoc on my lips, and this too shall pass. They will heal, and I am embracing this moment now. At least I know what I'd look like if I put some color in my face, other than from what comes from the natural sun, vitamin D, that I do find myself in on a daily basis when I'm out here hiking in the Red Rocks. You know, as far as tonight's show goes, I really didn't know where it was going to take us. But what I do know is where it took me. It took me back. It took me back to my younger years. It took me back to those moments when I was in fear and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it home or if I was going to make it home safe. And I know that experience wasn't just mine. I know that we have all had those moments where, as our younger selves, we weren't sure. We weren't sure if we were going to make it home. Maybe we weren't sure if we had a fear of one of our parents wouldn't make it home. We had a fear if one of them wasn't healthy. Well, if they drank too much, and what could be. And what I know is that as an adult, when we get triggered, what we want to do is have a safe place to come home to. And we don't have to seek it outside anymore because it's here. It's within all of us. And when that younger self gets scared in a moment, as the adult, we can do for our younger child what maybe we couldn't do when we were that child, which was protect us, honor us, let that younger child know they'll be okay. Don't be afraid to uncover the cover. Because when we uncover the cover, the weight is lifted. And when the weight is lifted, we get to experience inner joy, inner calm, serenity, peace, and love. It's possible that we could have those breakthrough moments. We just have to be willing to have the courage, as I believe Josh said earlier in the show. It takes courage. But I know you can do it because you've mastered many other difficult challenges in your life. It's our younger self that gets scared. But it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge it. But it's not okay to stay in it. I say no. No, no, no. Give yourself permission to step in and step out. And when we do that, we get to experience life in a way we never knew was possible. And that, my friends, is freedom. And with that, I love you guys. Have a safe weekend. Enjoy. I know, Evis, you're a day ahead, so you already get the download. You know what we're going to have happen tomorrow.
Not sure over on your side of the pond, brother, but yeah, no, it's crazy here too, man.
Thanks for joining us, viewers. If you heard something that you like to love, please share it out on your page. Help us grow this channel organically, naturally, and with love. We love you. We'll see you next week. Stay healthy, stay well, and keep the faith. It's possible. Everything's possible.
Mm-hmm.